Hello dear friends, so welcome back to my channel. I'm Gerard and I'm here to study math, revise my math, and today I'm going to talk about quadratic inequalities. Quadratic inequalities means that it's not equal to zero exactly, so it can be greater or equal, or less or equal. Well, actually, yeah, so this is less than 0 or less or equal, greater or equal, or this. Alright, so these are the signs that you will find in quadratic inequalities. And let's start with the first example. But before we go any further, so you know that a quadratic equation is in the form of this. Yes, and if it's an inequality, it's going to be less than 0 or greater than 0 or all the possible variants. Yeah, so this is these are coefficients, but this one is more interesting because if it's positive, it means that it has a minimum value here and it looks like this. But if it's negative, this a coefficient of x to the power of 2 is going to have a maximum, and it's going to be in this shape. Alright, so this is something very important, the coefficient of x squared. And now let's do an example. We have x squared minus 3x minus 4 is greater or equal to 0. So what we want are the values of this expression above the axis x, where y is equal to 0. Y is equal to 0 here. So we want it equal or above, therefore positive. So let's have a look at the equation itself. Let's analyze the equation. Let me clear this. So if I want to analyze the equation, I will say that a is equal to 1, so it's positive, and it's going to look like this. It's going to have a minimum. Yes. So now, how are we going to know where this curve is going to cross? The x-axis. So for that, we have to find the solution set of this expression. So we do it like this. We have x here, greater or equal to 0. So I can put it like this: a, b. These are what we're looking for. But we know that a times b gives us minus 4, and a plus b gives us minus 3. So something tells me that minus 4 times 1 gives you minus 4, but minus 4 plus 1 gives you minus 3. So I think we should use this. We should use these. So that's how I know what are the roots. So I'm going to rewrite everything. So x minus 4, x plus 1. And if I will expand this, I will have x squared plus x minus 4x minus 4, which is just the same as what we have initially above here. So which means that this is the right thing, the right way to factorize this expression. Let me make it beautiful for you. Here you go. Take something to write. So I'm going to write x here, greater or equal to 0, x minus 4 and plus 1. So now we have inequalities. We have x minus 4 is greater or equal to 0. I think from now on I'm going to change the way I write my letter 4. Just a moment. I'll write it like this because sometimes it does not look beautiful. This is 4. We know that it's 4. So this is an inequality, and the other inequality that we have is this. So we have seen when you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to change the direction of the sign. Okay, so for this curve, we know that it's going to be in this shape. Yes, because it has a minimum. And so how do we know how to draw this? X is greater or equal to 4. Is it possible? Yes. So 4 is somewhere here. Now we have x plus 1 is greater than 0. But when we send it there, we don't know if it's, I think then, because it's minus here, I have to change this. Okay. So we have a curve that goes like that, and we want everything above 0, so it's going to be anything above 0 here. Here the curve is below 0, here it's above 0. Okay, so let's read this. Here we have x is greater or equal to 4. Is it correct? Yes, this is correct. So x is greater or equal to 0 gives you positive value here. Yeah. And x is less or equal to 1 here gives you positive value. Okay, that's how you do it. So I'm going to erase this and write it in a very nice way, in a clear way, so that you can appreciate what just have happened. So we have minus 1 here, we have 4 here, we know that it's like this. Yes, we want all the values that are above 0 for the curve. The curve is below 0 here, so we don't need this. So we know that it's from this, what we wrote x is greater than 4 or equal to it, or x is less or equal to minus 1 from what we got here. These are the answers. Yes. Now there's just an extra that I want to do, because since I'm learning, I like to know that I know, or just to verify. There's something about minus b over 2a. It should give us the symmetry of this curve. So minus b is 3 here, because minus 3 minus is 3, 2a is 2, so it gives you 1 and then half, so 1.5 basically. So we have a line here, minus 1 here, 4 here, we need to have 1 point. So this is the line of symmetry. The curve is symmetry at this line. Alright, so thank you for watching. This was the first part, when it has a minimum. Let's do another example quickly for when the curve has a maximum. So I have an inequality here as well. So we're talking about boundaries. Boundaries is just the region, just like I wrote boundaries and so on. So that's good. So we're going to do another example. I have 6 plus x minus x to the square is greater than 0. This is an inequality. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to factorize here to have something greater than 0. So we want all the value of y. Let's say that this expression gives us the value of y, So we want everything that is above um, the x-axis. All right. So I'm going to erase this. And how are we going to factorize this? That's a good question. We know that it's going to be minus here and x here. What you have to notice is here, the coefficient of x to the power of 2, so therefore a is negative. So the shape is going to be like this. It has a maximum. This is a maximum point, and then we have minimum values. This is the opposite of what we did previously. And let me erase this. So how are we going to factorize this? That's a good question. What we see is that here we have 6. So how do we get 6? We can put a here, we can put b here. So a times b is going to give us 6, and a plus b is going to give us 1. So how can we get this? Of course, 3 and 2 are factors, multiplying factors of 6, and we can get 1 out of this. Okay, so to make it simple, I know I have to work with these values, so I'm going to erase this. I'm going to write it minus let's say minus 2 and x minus 3 is greater than 0. So let's check if this is correct. Let's multiply. Let's expand this like that. You have done this previously. Minus x squared plus 3x, and then we have minus 2x, and then plus 6. We have the 6, we have the x, the plus x, and we have the minus. Therefore, it's just the same as here above. So we know that this is correct. So let's clear this. Let's clear everything that will disturb us. We're going to sketch this curve, and then we're going to see where it's above 0. So how do we do this? We have two inequalities. We have this, and we have that. Let's start with this one. This one is easy. We just send this over there. We have x is greater than 3. Okay, but here it's not so simple. We have minus x. When we send this over there, we have to change sign. And now we have minus here. We multiply by minus. We again have to change sign. It will give us x greater than 0. So before I say that when we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, we have to change the sign of the inequalities. But what just happened here to here is this is 2 actually. It becomes 2, sorry. Greater than 2. Is it greater than 2? Yeah, but it becomes minus here, because minus, we multiply by minus, it becomes minus. Okay guys, sorry about that. I went a little bit too fast. Let me just write it properly, nicely for everybody. So we have this, we change because this became like that. And so when we're dealing with, let's say this is 2. Let's say this is 2. X is 2. minus 2 is greater than 0. Mm, looks looks odd. Looks odd to me. Well, actually, what we have to do, we have we have to write this the proper way. I have been preparing for this lesson and now I understand a little bit better what's going on here. So just an insight. So we have minus x minus 2. Can it be greater than 0? No, it should be less than 0. Obviously, this should be less than 0 because it's minus. Minus something, minus it gives you a 0 positive. A 0 answer. And for that reason, when we have this, we send this over there. We don't have to change the sign. That's according to what we said. By multiplying or dividing by a negative number, we have to change the direction of the inequality. But here we're not multiplying, we're just sending this to there, yeah, from left to right. But when we're going to now multiply by minus 1 to get x is greater than minus 2. So that's how it should be. You have to use your logic. You have to use your logic. If you have minus minus here, it's an addition, it should be less than 0. This is where you can make a mistake. And I was about to make this mistake. I did it before, just before making this video. And not to make the story long, but so we know that it's very important to stay logic here, because if we have two things and inequalities can be tricky, very tricky. So we have now these 2 points. If I want to draw something, I know that it's going to be minus 2 here and 3 here, and since it's negative here, so the coefficient of x2 is negative, we know that there's going to be a maximum, so it's going to be just like that, guys. That's the curve. We want everything that is above 0, above 0. So here the curve is below 0, so we don't need all this. We want what is here, all those values. Okay, so how do we write this the boundaries for this inequalities? It's going to be x uh, because if x is greater than minus 2, that's this, yeah. But here what is happening? This is minus, you see. Once again, there's something tricky, because when x is less than 3, then it's above 0. So it's going to be like that. So yeah. So that's why it's very important to have a sketch. We don't solve an inequality without sketching. It's going to be just a big mess. We need to see what is the correct area, what is the correct boundaries. Just by looking at this and putting the sign as we want is not going to help us. We have to use a sketch. We have to sketch it. Very important, very, very important. I just, like I said, I'm revising my math, and I just got convinced about this. So the result, I will erase everything. The result is just going to be like how I will put. So I will draw my thing here. I know it's -2 here. I know it's 3 here. And I know it's going to be like that, crossing this point. And just to be on the safe side, I like to do this -b over 2a, the line of symmetry. So b is going to be 1 minus 1, 2a is going to be minus, yeah. So -1 over -2 gives me half, so half is somewhere here. This is where it's symmetry, actually. This is where it's symmetry. Okay? And the answer is going to be where the curve is above 0, so it's going to be x is greater than -2 and less than 3. So this is the boundary and this is the answer here. Alright guys, this is very good. Once again, when you have an inequality, please sketch it. Sketch it. Because just by taking the values, and it's not like it's equal here. And it's very hard to find the right direction of the inequality. So use the sketch. Use it. Alright, thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.